The shocking allegations about Princess Diana's death.
You didn't believe she was dead?
Quite a severe head injury, but she was very much still alive on the back seat. And those people that caused the accident, instead of helping, were taking photographs of her dying on the back seat. And then those photographs made their way back to news desks in this country.
She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage. She needed to rehabilitate her image.
Traditionally, the dignified royal family maintains silence by being seen and not heard. However, Prince William and Prince Harry's willingness to speak out has generated new discussions about their mother, Princess Diana, and the pressures faced within the monarchy, including long-standing rumors that her death was not merely accidental. Princess Diana's sons have just made some revelations about their father, King Charles. What secrets did Diana's sons reveal about King Charles? Join us as we dive deeper into these unsettling revelations, even after years of Princess Diana's tragic passing. Life in the palace. Over the years, members of the royal family have frequently faced scandals that interested the press.
From almost believable to utterly absurd, we list a few conspiracy theories about the royal family members, enough to rattle your mind.
Every member of the royal family has been a subject to media attention at some point. However, Princess Diana's case seems to be a very unique one. Diana herself struggled within her position as tensions rose in her troubled marriage. Despite obstacles, she advocated for important causes like AIDS prevention and fighting landmines, and her humanitarian efforts earned her the title People's Princess. Now, no one truly knows the full story of Diana's troubles, but Prince William and his brother seem to have revealed some very private information, one that certainly has everyone on their toes. This step taken by the brothers has been met with a lot of scrutiny, as the brothers have defied the tradition of keeping the personal affairs of the royal family confidential. Her second son, Prince Harry, spoke publicly about how the media intensely pursued and treated her. He also mentioned how himself and his brother, Prince William, were deeply impacted when Diana tragically died in a car crash in Paris while being chased by paparazzi. Harry later disclosed that the photographers did not help Diana after the accident. Instead, they took photos as she lay injured.
Quite a severe head injury, but she was very much still alive on the back seat. And those people that caused the accident, instead of helping, were taking photographs of her dying on the back seat. And then those photographs made their way back to news desks in this country.
And as you would expect, people were outraged upon learning this. William himself described feeling numb and disoriented upon hearing of Diana's death. Understandably, losing a parent in your teenage life is a genuine tragedy. You're old enough to feel the pain, but too young to understand the impact it'd have on you as you carry that unfillable void for the rest of your life. Now, the death of Princess Diana is one that has been surrounded with numerous theories, one of which claims that the driver was probably intoxicated at the time of the accident. More so, people also believe that Diana was never really at peace, as she was constantly plagued by the feeling that the royal family was working against her. It is common knowledge by now that Diana thought Charles wanted her out of the way so he could be with Camilla, his true love, during their tumultuous relationship. This further strengthened the belief that her death was certainly not an accident. It would seem that both princes were suffering in silence, as Charles openly married their mother's sworn enemy and the third wheel in their bittersweet marriage following her tragic death. But what really caused them to violate the royal code of silence, and more importantly, why now? To many, it appears William disregarded keeping matters private, out of an ambition for the crown, but to some who beg to disagree, it's time the princes unburdened themselves. However, if we must really understand the reason behind these sudden revelations, we must first go back in time to when Diana's marriage with the king turned sour. The family dynamics of Lady Diana. Diana's marital tragedy wasn't exactly a first-time experience. She'd been a victim of a failed marriage once before. Her first taste of a failed marriage was in her early years as she witnessed her parents' marriage fall apart. Diana's parents' marriage collapsed when she was just 7 years old, leading to a widely reported divorce.
When Diana was a child, her parents' marriage broke down.
It is announced from Buckingham Palace that with regret, the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate. Their Royal Highnesses have no plans to divorce, and their constitutional positions are unaffected.
Diana, often called Duchess by her family because of her graceful nature, was born on August 30th, 1961, and baptized at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham. She was the third child and fourth born in her family, but her arrival was a bit overshadowed. Her parents were hoping for a boy to continue the family name, which put a lot of pressure on their marriage. Her mother even went to doctors in London to find out why she couldn't have a boy. This desire for a son led to many problems between her parents. Charles, Diana's younger brother, later claimed that their parents were greatly distressed and embarrassed by these efforts, which may have contributed to their eventual divorce. After the divorce in 1967, Diana first resided in London with her mother. However, her father made the decision that she wouldn't accompany her mother back to London during a Christmas visit to his home. This resulted in a difficult custody dispute, which her father prevailed over with the aid of Lady Fermoy, his mother-in-law. Both parents tried love again. In 1969, her mother wed Peter Shand Kidd, but when Diana's father wed Rain, Countess Spencer, there was even more family strife. A tense and contentious relationship marked Diana's relationship with her stepmother, which included the startling incident where Diana shoved her down the stairs. Diana recalled her early years as being extremely unstable and miserable. Diana had many ups and downs in her early years. When her father became Earl Spencer in 1975 and the family moved to the Althorpe estate in Northamptonshire,
when Diana was 15 years old, Althorpe, her family home, was about to be invaded. Rain had divorced Gerald Legg and married Diana's father, Johnny Spencer.
the family's circumstances once more changed. Diana studied at home with her governess, Gertrude Allen, before attending King's Lynn, Norfolk's Sillfield private school. The ups and downs of her family life, as well as the addition of additional family members and house moves, filled these early years with too many changes. Diana attended Riddlesworth Hall School, an all-girls boarding school outside of Thetford, when she was 9 years old. She later enrolled in West Heath School in 1973, alongside her sisters. During these years, she not only learned from books, but also learned how to deal with familial pressures and significant life events, which helped to shape the person she would become. Diana struggled in school at West Heath Girls' School in Sevenoaks, Kent. Many thought this was because of the emotional difficulties she had to deal with as a youngster, including her parents' divorce and subsequent marriages. Even with these challenges, Diana did exceptionally well on community service. She was so committed to helping people that her school even gave her an honor. Diana had a difficult time in school, but she led a busy life. Her generosity and commitment in the community were well known.
Because I lead from the heart, not the head. And albeit that's got me into trouble in my work, I understand that. But someone's got to go out there and love people.
Her brother Charles frequently described her as shy, but incredibly compassionate by the time she left West Heath at the age of 16. Diana had exceptional musical talent and could play the piano well. Even a Broadway musical about her life was inspired by her gift. She was more than a nanny. Diana also spent a brief period of time before Easter 1978 attending a finishing school in Switzerland. Upon returning to London, she lived in her mother's apartment with school pals and enrolled in an advanced cooking program. Diana worked very hard. She worked as a dance instructor for young people for 3 months before suffering an injury while skiing. Following her recovery, she helped out at a preschool, cleaned for her sister Sarah, and took on a part-time job as a party hostess. Diana also worked as a nursery teacher's assistant at the Young England School in Pimlico, in addition to watching the Robertson family's children. For her 18th birthday in July 1979, her mother purchased her an apartment in Kern Court. Up until February 1981, Diana and her 3 pals resided there. She was growing personally throughout this period of her life and getting ready for an unexpected future. The Royal Love Story, Charles and Diana. Prince Charles meets Lady Diana for the first time in November 1977 at Althorpe House, Diana's 1,500-acre family estate in Northamptonshire, England.
Nestled on 12,000 acres in the wintry English countryside, Blenheim Palace is 300 years old.
At the time, he was dating her older sister Sarah and had traveled up to join her for a shooting weekend. Nobody could have foreseen what happened next. 3 months later, Charles and Sarah had a ski weekend trip to Klosters, Switzerland. A journalist is reported to have heard Sarah say that she wouldn't wed Charles if he were the dustman or the King of England. Shortly after this revelation, Charles called it quits on their romance. Both sisters remained in his social circle and were there at Buckingham Palace for Charles's 30th birthday celebration in November. Charles and Diana received an invitation to spend the weekend at the Sussex family home of their common acquaintance Philip de Pass in July 1980. Diana informed Charles of the recent passing of Lord Mountbatten, his adored great-uncle. Diana then claimed that Charles made an unexpected move to express his romantic interest. From then on, their relationship started to take shape. Diana was seen in September 1980 at the royal family's residence in the Scottish Highlands, Balmoral. This was the moment when their connection was made public. Prince Charles asked Diana to marry him at Windsor Castle in February 1981, and she consented. They had apparently only gone out around a dozen times at that point. Diana, who is 19 years old, was the subject of intense media interest. Despite her graceful handling of most of it, she once broke down in tears while driving and expressed her desire for the photographers to occasionally leave her alone. She moved into Clarence House from her tiny flat. On February 24th, a news conference was held to officially announce their engagement. Diana acknowledged her feelings when asked, but Charles's ambiguous statement, "Whatever in love means,"
Whatever in love means.
Well, it
Put your own interpretation.
obviously means two very happy people.
Yes.
Once again, congratulations.
Well, from us, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
prompted many to speculate about his actual thoughts. Standing on the brink of marriage, Prince Charles was conflicted about himself. A strong sense of obligation to the royal family overcame him, and he began to view himself less as a man searching for real love and more as a prince looking for a good marriage. He was drawn to Diana's charms, but his true feelings remained for Camilla, his ex-girlfriend.
Who are you referring to?
Camilla.
Why would I care about her?
Because I care about her! Morning, noon, and night I care about her!
Diana was a very beautiful lady who's to be married at quite a young age. Her father had advised her to marry whomever she loves, and she was convinced about Charles. Charles departed from his recently engaged partner in March 1981 to spend 5 weeks traveling by plane to Australia and New Zealand. After his departure, Diana was observed sobbing at Heathrow Airport. She later claimed that it wasn't because of his departure, but rather because, just before he left, he had made a heartbreaking phone call to Camilla Parker Bowles. The royal couple got married in July of 1981. It was a momentous occasion, the lavish event of the century. Diana wore an Elizabeth and David Emanuel dress in their Westminster Abbey wedding, which was broadcasted to an estimated 750 million viewers on July 29th. Before walking the aisle, Diana voiced her reservations. Just a few days before his wedding to Diana, Charles had one final lunch with his ex, Camilla Parker, during which he gifted her a bracelet inscribed with the letters G and F. Diana found this bracelet along with a hoard of other jewelry Charles had ordered as presents for a number of women with whom he had been close during his bachelor years, as a way of thanking them for their companionship. Diana stormed out of the office, blown into a jealous rage. Diana's sisters recall her expressing doubts and unhappiness about the marriage. Their father, Earl Spencer, also played a crucial role in persuading Diana to reconsider her decision to cancel the wedding. He calmed her down and pointed out the potential consequences of breaking off the engagement so close to the wedding date, citing it as an act of gross discourtesy to the prince and the royal family. Later on, this unresolved love would become a major source of conflict in her marriage. A lot of people believed that Charles picked Diana because she was the ideal royal wife, a lady noble enough for the family and capable of producing heirs to carry on the tradition. From the moment Diana came into the public eye, particularly after her widely publicized lavish wedding, she was the subject of constant media attention. Outsiders may find the royal life attractive, but it comes with invasive media attention. The intensity of this increased when Diana decided not to include the word obey in her wedding vows. Her daring action, which was her first act of defiance within the royal family, sparked a media frenzy. Perhaps this was due to her experience in the events leading to the wedding, but that was only the beginning of her troubles. Diana's vision of a fairy tale vanished immediately after the wedding. They didn't spend much time together due to the demanding responsibilities of royal duty and Charles's lack of emotional support.
Prince William have a favourite toy?
Jamie, he loves his koala bear he's got, but he hasn't got anything particular. He just likes something with a bit of noise. He got a plastic whale that throws things out the top, little balls.
Diana was largely left on her own to settle into her new environment. She had severe difficulties, and at one point in her first pregnancy, she lost hope. She hurled herself down Sandringham House's staircase while struggling with bulimia. The infant, somehow, escaped unhurt. Prince William's birth in 1982 offered a ray of optimism. Charles was very touched by Diana's birth, and it made him feel closer to her for a little while. Diana was nonetheless burdened by the public and media's relentless scrutiny, particularly during her depressive postpartum period. Speaking about her postpartum depression, Diana claimed she didn't feel like getting out of bed in the morning. She felt misunderstood and just very, very low in herself.
You didn't believe she was dead?
For a long time. I just refused to accept that she was gone. Part of, she would never do this to us, but also part of, maybe this is all part of a plan.
Quite a severe head injury, but she was very much still alive on the back seat. And those people that caused the accident, instead of helping, were taking photographs of her dying on the back seat. And then those photographs made their way back to news desks in this country.
Princess Diana, the people's princess, stepped into the royal spotlight with her marriage to Prince Charles.
Ostensibly no, but given the fact that the Princess of Wales believes that Prince Charles's friendship with another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles, has cast a long shadow over that marriage, must be considered when you look at the failure of this 11-year union.
Despite her doubts about the hasty proposal, she saw it as a way to escape her troubled family. But the royal life was anything but a fairy tale. Her marriage to Charles brought to light many secrets, and she faced unkind treatment from the royal family. Distraught by infidelity and cruelty, Diana sought revenge, only to tragically die in a car crash in 1997. Now, decades later, her son is revealing secrets about Charles. Why is he breaking his silence? Join us as we look into the secrets leaked by Princess Diana's son about King Charles' Princess Diana's early life and career. Princess Diana's marriage to the royal family and the controversies that trailed her life after brought her to the limelight. But she had quite an eventful life, even before then. Let's delve into when and how it all started. Diana was born on the 1st of July, 1961, to Edward John Spencer, the Viscount Althorp, and Frances Ruth Burke Roche, who later became known as the Honorable Frances Shand Kidd. She was born as Diana Frances Spencer, and later became Lady Diana Spencer in 1975.
Above all, we give thanks for the life of a woman I'm so proud to be able to call my sister. The unique, the complex, the extraordinary and irreplaceable Diana, whose beauty, both internal and external, will never be extinguished from our minds.
After her father inherited the Earl Spencer title, her connection to the royal family is evident in her place of birth. Princess Diana was born at Park House, a home that her parents rented on Queen Elizabeth II's estate in Sandringham, England.
The former home of Elizabeth's head gardener on her Sandringham estate can be rented for about $400 a night next February for a minimum of 3 nights.
The royal family frequently holidayed at the neighboring Sandringham House,
London. Queen Mary left Marlborough House for Sandringham, where the royal Christmas was to be spent as a family party.
And Diana played with Princes Andrew and Edward. With such a noble background, how did Diana's early life lead to her eventual fate and controversial life? Get ready for the most epic moment of the video. Diana was the youngest daughter of her parents, and she had two older sisters, Jane Fellows and Sarah McCorquodale, and a younger brother, Charles Spencer, 9th Earl Spencer. She had another brother, John, but he died in infancy a year before Diana was born.
From her mother's devastating loss of a baby boy,
She was never allowed to hold her first son.
Both of her grandmothers, Cynthia Spencer and Ruth Roche, were ladies-in-waiting to Queen Mother Elizabeth. After losing John, her parents were hoping for another boy to carry on the family line, and so they didn't choose a name for a week after her birth until they settled on Diana Frances after her mother and Lady Diana Spencer, a great-aunt who was also a prospective Princess of Wales as a potential bride for Frederick, Prince of Wales. Diana was also nicknamed Dooch within the family because of her duchess-like attitude in childhood. On August 30th, 1961, Diana was baptized at St. Mary Magdalene Church, Sandringham. Despite her birth as the third child and fourth born of the family, her parents still wanted a male to be their heir, and this really put a strain on their marriage, especially after Lady Althorp was sent to Harley Street clinics in London to determine the cause of her inability to produce a male heir. Her younger brother Charles would later describe this sole event as humiliating and a dreadful time for his parents. It was in fact probable that this was the root cause of their divorce.
Paul Workman now on the world's most famous couple, heading for the world's most famous divorce.
Diana was 7 years old when her parents divorced, and her mother went on to marry Peter Shand Kidd in 1969. Diana still lived with her mother in London immediately after her parents' separation in 1967. But after going on holiday to her father's home during the Christmas holiday that same year, her father, Lord Althorp, refused to let his daughter return to London. Shortly after, he won custody of Diana with the support of his former mother-in-law, Lady Fermoy. In 1976, Diana's father married Rain, Countess of Dartmouth. Their stepfamily relationship wasn't typical. Diana didn't get along with her stepmother and often called her a bully, even pushing her downstairs once. She described her childhood as very unhappy and unstable. After her father inherited the Earl Spencer title in 1975, she became Lady Diana. The family moved from Park House to Althorp, their estate in Northamptonshire. For schooling, Diana was initially homeschooled by her governess, Gertrude Allen. Later, she attended Sillafurled Private School in King's Lynn, Norfolk, beginning her formal education there. This upbringing shaped Diana's early years, marked by family tensions and transitions. Her strained relationship with her stepmother and the move to Althorp were significant events that influenced her upbringing and perspective on life. When she was 9, she moved to Riddlesworth Hall School, an all-girls boarding school near Thetford. Later on, in 1973, she joined her sisters at Westheath Girls' School in Sevenoaks, Kent. But her academics largely suffered because of her bad performance in school, which some say is probably a result of her strained childhood and her parents' divorce and remarriage, which she largely witnessed. She even failed her O-levels twice. In spite of this, Diana stood out in terms of community service, and this outstanding spirit was recognized with an award from her school, Westheath. What she lacked in academics, she made up for in community engagement. She left Westheath when she was 16, and up until that point, her brother Charles says she was a very shy young lady. She also had great skills, including her excellent musical ability as a skilled pianist.
It's a well-known story told in an unexpected way, set to music on a Broadway stage.
I choose a fresh new start.
Diana the musical is framed around the Princess of Wales' relationship with Prince Charles.
She was an excellent swimmer and diver, and she also studied ballet and tap dance. It was only academics that was not her forte. Between 1979 and 1981, Diana lived at Coleherne Court in Chelsea, London. In 1978, she started a mini-career in line with her passion for children, working as a nanny for Philippa and Jeremy Whittaker in Hampshire. She attended a finishing school in Rougemont, Switzerland for one term, but left after Easter 1978. Back in London, she shared her mother's flat with two friends from school. In London, Diana took an advanced cooking course and worked various low-paying jobs. She was a dance instructor for youth until a skiing accident caused her to miss 3 months of work. Then, she worked as a playgroup preschool assistant, did cleaning for her sister Sarah, and acted as a hostess at parties. She also babysat for the Robertsons, an American family in London, and worked as a nursery teacher's assistant at the Young England School in Pimlico. In July 1979, her mother bought her a flat at Coleherne Court as an 18th birthday present. She lived there with 3 flatmates until February 25, 1981. It's amazing how she got involved with Prince Charles after such an eventful life. Royal marriage, sons' births, and lingering controversies. Diana and Prince Charles met in 1977 in unusual circumstances. Unable to bear to part with her little boy, Diana took William, then 9 months old, on a royal tour of Australia and New Zealand in 1983. Her decision to prioritize her job as a mother over other commitments drew a range of responses, from fierce condemnation to widespread praise. In September 1984, they welcomed their second child, Prince Harry.
In 1984, a new page was written in the royal family fairy tale when Buckingham Palace announced Princess Diana was pregnant with her second child. It was front page news in London and all across the UK.
The arrival of their second son would again heighten Diana and Charles's conflict. Prince Harry's birth ought to have marked another joyous occasion. But Charles's evident dismay that Harry was not the girl he had imagined for strained their already shaky marriage even further. Diana had chosen to keep Harry's gender a secret because she enjoyed the fleeting intimacy it provided when she was pregnant. However, Charles's response to Harry's gender and red hair eclipsed this little link, further straining their relationship and throwing a dark cloud over what ought to have been a happy event. 2 years later, after a miserable marriage, Charles and Diana had both turned to other people for solace. Charles maintained his covert relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, who was likewise married but unhappy, through the late 1980s and early 1990s. Their affair rekindled in spite of the turmoil in their lives. Charles told his official biographer, Jonathan Dimbleby, in 1994, that he resumed his relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles that year. Around the same time, Diana allegedly started an affair with Army Captain James Hewitt. Charles wrote in a letter to an unidentified correspondent, "How awful incompatibility is, and how dreadfully destructive it can be for the players in this extraordinary drama. It has all the ingredients of a Greek tragedy. I never thought it would end up like this." From 1987 to 1992, rumors of marital trouble plagued Charles and Diana. News of Princess Diana's absence from Prince Charles's customary summer family vacation traveled swiftly. There appeared to be a serious issue within the royal family. Their frequent appearance of discontent together raised everyone's interest in their marriage. The public became even more interested in their relationship problems as a result of the media's analysis of every action they took when they were spotted together. As observed by British reporter Georgina Howell, she was the love object of everyone in the world except her husband. She was faced in her mid-20s with something she found chilling to contemplate: a fairy tale marriage that had cooled into an arrangement. Their problems were widely reported, and the world watched them every step of the way as their split seemed inevitable. In May 1992, Andrew Morton wrote and published Diana, Her True Story, where he detailed the breakdown of Charles and Diana's marriage.
My name's Andrew Morton. I wrote Diana, Her True Story 25 years ago. I've brought it up to date, and I'd like you to read this book and realise what a fun person Diana was. Well, I was writing a biography of Diana, and my main contact was a chap called James Colthurst.
Diana provided Morton with audio recordings in order to work covertly. Charles and Diana visited South Korea as part of an official visit in November 1992. Because of their miserable appearance, the British press called them the Glums. During their separation, Diana made a friend in Hasnat Khan, a British Pakistani surgeon who passed away before her. Their romance, which had first been kept under wraps, was made public in 1996.
The relationship became public knowledge on November 3rd, 1996, when the Sunday Mirror reported on it,
adding even more intrigue to the royal tale. In the midst of all of this, Queen Elizabeth II urged them to call it quits. The Prince and Princess of Wales announced their separation to the House of Commons in December 1992, according to Prime Minister John Major. He recited a statement from Buckingham Palace stating that both parties would continue to fully participate in parenting their children and that the decision was friendly. Diana went to a clinic, while Charles went to a business luncheon. Neither of them made any comments. Despite tabloid allegations and Morton's book claiming otherwise, the palace insisted that no third party was engaged in the decision-making process. The monarchy was rocked by the revelation. According to the New York Times, the split occurred at a time when the monarchy's legitimacy was at an all-time low because of continuous rumors of marriage scandals and the affluent lifestyle that certain members of the royal family led. Diana expressed deep and profound sadness about the split in an interview with the BBC. She claimed they'd struggled to keep it going, but obviously herself and Charles have both run out of steam. Following their July agreement, Charles and Diana's divorce was formalized in August of 1996. Diana lost her title of Her Royal Highness, although she did get a sizable cash settlement. Many well-wishers of Princess Diana believed that her divorce marked the conclusion of an amazing tale. However, her perspective was different. It marked the start of a new chapter in her life. Diana's charisma, compassion, and sense of elegance helped her to remain a global celebrity even after her marriage ended. She won the hearts of millions by relating to regular people and showing great compassion for those in need. Nevertheless, even as she continued to shine, the tragic event that followed her divorce ultimately shook the world. From tragedy to legacy, Diana's final years and aftermath. Diana and Prince Charles appeared to get along better despite their earlier disagreements. On her 35th birthday, he even paid her a visit. Diana died merely a year after the official divorce papers were signed, perishing in a Paris vehicle accident in 1997. Her final public appearance was at the English National Ballet, demonstrating her continued dedication to a number of causes despite going through difficult personal circumstances. Diana's sisters and Prince Charles immediately traveled to Paris to retrieve her body after she passed away.
On the eve of Princess Diana's funeral, the royal family is returning to London, hoping in perhaps to quell some of the criticism of their actions since Diana's death.
Diana was given a royal funeral, and the entire country was in mourning. Prince William and Prince Harry were forced to face the loss of their mother in public. They received encouragement from Prince Philip to participate in the funeral procession and got them through the difficult period. After analyzing 3 photographs taken at the ceremony at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, body language expert Judy James concluded that the young princes had to really dig deep at the occasion and suppressed what must have been many negative emotions. However, another stir rose from the funeral when Prince Charles chose to wear a navy suit rather than the customary black mourning attire. This brought to light speculations and media gossip. The gossip was rekindled years later when Diana's death was investigated under the case name of Operation Paget.